but amazing. And I know it's just exciting to be here. I'll kind of start with my intros a little bit while we're waiting for people to come in. But so excited to see so many people and some old friends on this too. Hi, Patrick Yako. Hi, Scott. Amazing just to see, the interest in everybody coming out for this today. I personally spent many years in youth service and working for youth service organizations. So really working with nonprofits to build out youth and family volunteer opportunities. And I think, how we look at family volunteering across what we do here at NYC Service, our goal is to build a culture of service in New York City where people feel a sense of responsibility to each other and to the city and enact that through service. And family service is just such an important way, in building that culture. It's, families taking time together in their busy lives, intergenerational families coming together to contribute, to do something, to feel a sense of belonging with each other and belonging to their community. It also really gives families a way to explore, the ability to explore what they stand for as a family, how it teaches values like compassion, kindness, taking care of each other, in your local neighborhood. So it's a really wonderful way, just to kind of bring people together and get together. So we are so excited. We have amazing panelists, and because it's a lunch and learn, we just have a very short time. So really want to get into the panel really quickly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll ask the first question, and then I'll ask all of our panelists to introduce themselves very quick, a couple sentences, but then to answer the question, and really starting off with why family volunteering? How does the work that you do help strengthen family bonds and community bonds? So Jessica from Prospect Park Alliance, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's great to be here. Great to be with you all. So Jessica Jimhori, I'm the Director of Volunteer Services at Prospect Park Alliance. I've been with the park here for over 15 years now. It's been a great mix for me, the outdoor, indoor, and community engagement. So why family volunteering? So the volunteer program at Prospect Park Alliance is housed under public programs. So we have, community engagement, environmental stewardship, learning together with your neighbors. It's part of what we do. It's, as volunteering, of course, we have the outputs, the return on investment, bags of trash, number of plants in the ground, but we always try to balance that with the number of people that we're reaching and the diversity of people that we're reaching, zip codes, affinity groups, etc. So with families, we are always just still, we have a separate education program that develops curriculum. For us, we really try to find projects that are safe, fun, and an opportunity to, like you were saying, start from a young age, planting the seeds of volunteerism and community stewardship.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Jessica. And Marguerite, I will turn it over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Marguerite Leslie. I'm the Director of Development with Faith in New York. And at Faith in New York, we're a grassroots faith-based social justice organization. I've been together with them for about 9 years now, so going up to my 10th year with Faith in New York. And yeah, some of the things that we work on is civic engagement, restorative justice, and immigrant rights work. We also have some youth organizing, transformational leadership school for volunteers to turn into leaders, a regular kind of organizing body, and then interns and fellows program. So Faith in New York really is a multi-generational organization. So there's grandparents involved, parents involved, and youth through all of those different capacities that I was just talking about. But for us, I think the reason why we're talking about family volunteering is because civic engagement can really bring people together, and it really leads into our sense of having a holistic, year-round, integrated view on voting for our daily lives, right? So we have a program called Souls to the Polls, where congregations are encouraged for families to be able to make a voting plan and then go to vote together. And, the voting is the person who is a registered voter, but also we think about what is the legacy that we can
Mhm.
also bring together with a family. How can a family, with maybe older adults who are bringing grandchildren to be able to see the process of voting, or also bring them into like our tabling and events work, right? Them being able to see what it looks like to engage with the community, to have those conversations, and then for them to really think about how do these things impact us, and what does it say as our values as a family is something that we really treasure when we're able to see it happen.
I love that. And I love the idea of really building out that getting kids very early on in this idea of like voting and coming with your family, and that's something that the family really values. So fantastic. Karina, we'll have you go next.
Hello, thank you for having me. I am Karina Wong, and I am part of Meals for Unity, and I've been the programming director for 3 years now. And we are a grassroots nonprofit that started from during the heights of COVID, and we you know emphasize and really focus on the AAPI community, and our bread and butter of our events is meal distributions, and you know and we also focus on giving out meal distributions to the elderly community. And so I think that inherently makes it a really great opportunity to make it intergenerational. We have we strongly encourage young adults to come and volunteer with us. And a lot of people also love to bring their kids involved. And we used to, when we first started, we used to have cooking opportunities, but now we're kind of taking that back and now support local restaurants. So it's definitely not as I guess unsafe for the little ones. So yeah.
Yeah. And I know that's such a huge thing, especially families with young kids. It's finding opportunities that really where they can be safe, that it's something that they can do and have a little independence, while working with their parents. So great. We can definitely dive into that in a little bit. And last but not least, Alexandra, how about
Hey,
you?
everybody.
Why family volunteering for you all?
I represent Riverdale Y, which is a Jewish community center up in the Boogie Down Bronx, and I'm the director of volunteer services, which means that I focus on all social impact initiatives that happen in this particular section of the Bronx. And social impact does not happen without everybody participating. But they're very, very little, and all that they can do is just take a crayon and just doodle a little bit. That makes a difference to an older adult who may not have seen those doodles in a very long time. Uh, when I have youth joining me, they're like, "What is this? Why are we being nice? Wait, I like being nice." And I mean, this huge surprise. Oh, that's what community looks like. Of course, it makes the professionals feel very good. Their children are learning values. Everybody's occupied. Nobody's going crazy, and people are going crazy, but in a good, organized way. And of course, now when older adults come in, and they share all of this wisdom, and they share all of this knowledge, and they share all of this experience, and they're heard, they are seen. And that is such an important thing for an older adult, especially somebody who may be isolated or doesn't have a family close by. So family volunteering, it's not just about blood family. It's about this intergenerational circle all over the place, bringing everybody together.
I love that so much. That's so wonderful. And really thinking about the wider New York City community, it's funny, I talked to my niece a lot about this lately, that I was explaining the concept of a chosen family, which she had a little hesitation. She's like, wait, they are not your family. But, and really this idea of in New York that we have, many people are here, they have family all over the country, the world. So it's really how do we make these connections here in the city? So That's great. So the next question I'll just open up, for everybody. Anybody can chime in. And I think this is what's so critical, a critical question for so many people who are tuning in. How can an organization prepare to host family volunteer opportunities? What do you recommend, especially thinking about many people traditionally do a lot of things for adults? How do you translate that into work with youth and families? Yeah. Go ahead, Alexandra.
I don't know if I raised my hand here. Hi, it's me again. So there are two kind of lenses that I look at when I think of both volunteering and family volunteering. On one side, I need to figure out what a really useful project is. I don't want my volunteers to come in, paint the wall, watch it dry, paint it again. This is not about really finding busy work. It's about finding an actual need that needs to be addressed. And then on the other side, I take my whatever project it is, and I break it out into the smallest possible components. Here's a perfect example. I will be serving over 200 older adults Thanksgiving lunch. It's going to be huge. Soup, turkey, string beans, sweet potatoes, the works. And all of that is going to be in person. It's going to be personal service because we want to create a sense of dignity and community. Okay, so how do we involve the very littles? Well, the very littles can sit on the Sunday and snap beans because they can, right? Maybe those who are a little bit older can sit and roll forks and knives because that's a necessity. You can't have soup without a spoon. Maybe our teenagers are going to be there in person and serving the lunch. They're not because they're going to be in school. They should be in school. But as an example, for sure, college students will be there. And now professional age people, maybe a corporation is going to want to go and dedicate a day of service. Okay, so there we go, already involving them. And then finally, retired people who are full of vigor and full of vibrancy, and they don't want to be the ones to just sit around. They want to do. So the real question is, well, the real answer is find the service project, find the real need, and then break it down into the smallest possible components.
Mm-hmm. That's great. How about others?
Yeah, I definitely piggybacking on that. So at Prospect Park, definitely trying to find an actual need and then also kind of match it to the appropriate age group. Like, we have litter pickup, we have actually just started advertising that minimum age 9 for little kids. For safety reasons, what you'll find in Prospect Park, it's just not really appropriate for ages underneath that. But for kids starting at the age of 4, raking leaves is great. That's in lawn areas where you're more than likely not going to encounter the kind of trash that you might in the woodlands. So it's safe when kids come as a family. They typically are coming with their parents, and we do find sometimes that the parents will focus on work and like actually getting the job done and kind of lose track of their kids. So one thing that we do is leverage other volunteers like teenagers to help hold the bags so the kids can get the leaves into the bags, and doing those reminders for their parents. Another thing that we do is go big. This past weekend we had 140 participants at our leaf raking project. So with that volume, we really do see the impact.
Yeah.
And then having the appropriate tools too. Little kids, we have these leaf grabbers that are just so cute.
I'm sure. Oh my God, I can't even imagine the tiny leaf grabber. It's like, I feel like I need to come and volunteer just so I can see one. So fantastic. Great. And how about Marguerite, Karina, want to add anything in?
I really appreciate this, the having the clear guidelines and really thinking through each stage. I think also a reminder, our organization is very small. We have a small team. And so knowing our limitations as well is very important for us. So, maybe we're not actually able to engage like some of the younger kids, but maybe teenagers and up is more the place where we can really, oh, do you have teenage children? Then they can be involved with our interns program, and you can do tabling together, those kinds of things, and not to shy away from that, because I think at different times we would try to skew much younger and realize that that was not really capacity that we had. And so that the lane that we could really go for was like the younger, like teen areas, so like maybe about 16 years old and up. And then that would be the space that we could support. Also getting feedback from volunteer leaders. So asking them, how would you like to be able to engage your family? And are there any barriers that you've seen through, the programming that you have now that might stop them from being able to participate? So getting that and then having fun, right? So where is a place where they're going to be celebrated? Where's the place that they're going to really have a good time? And how could that be reflect your values? So for us, we have because we're a faith-based organization, we have like a prayer wall, and the prayer wall is non-denominational and asking people, what are your prayers and vision for the city? And so when people come, they're talking about that, and that starts conversation as well. So really thinking about like what is unique to your organization and how can that meet the needs of families, but not trying to go beyond what your real capacity is.
Yeah, amazing. And I love the idea of the prayer wall and like the hopes and the dreams and kind of looking forward for what they want to see. I think that that's such like so much, I think also with family volunteering and youth in particular is how do you integrate the elements of reflection into it, where people can kind of process and talk about it and talk about things. And because once they start to understand what they're doing, it hits a little bit deeper and builds those bonds. Yeah. So Karina, how about you? What are any, how do you think families can kind of prepare and get ready? Or sorry, how can an organization prepare to host families?
Yeah, definitely. So at Meals, our main programming is packaging, meal packages and then distributing out. And so, I think it's definitely very teen friendly. So we do have high school students that come and, schools now are kind of requiring volunteer hours. So we do have a lot of high schoolers that come. But one small part that we do have a lot of kids, and if people want to bring their kids to participate, is every single meal package, we include a little like personalized note card. And, we usually just write, Meals for Unity or enjoy your meal. And, sometimes in English and, in other languages. But I think, kids love arts and crafts. And so I think that's a massive way for them to just kind of have fun, and they can draw, we encourage them to draw anything that they want. And I think, from a lot of people's perspective, it may not be, doesn't seem like a big deal, and like a massive part of our general programming, but I think it's really important, and the elderly definitely appreciate like a personalized note, and adds a little bit more fun besides the meal that they're receiving. So
yeah, I can
so
only
that's
imagine. Yeah,
yeah.
I was just gonna say I can only imagine like how many of those little cards are like on people's coffee tables or like in
Yeah,
front of their TV or
exactly.
something at their homes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Amazing. So we talked a little bit about, what organizations can do. Do you have any tips, like thinking about the families coming in, what can families do? And for people here who are in organizations and want to do more family volunteering, what are things that they can do to help the families prepare in advance, and think about as they're coming in to volunteer? Yeah, Marguerite, do you mind if we start with you?
Sure. So I was thinking about this. So some of the things I think definitely really thinking about what organizations really align with what you're trying to do, right? So, we have a very particular, focus. And so, you know, thinking about, I think some of the people that have volunteered together with us really appreciated that they themselves are people of faith, but then also they're together with people of many different faiths, many different backgrounds, and so they can appreciate that. And then also the ability to really think about what is the impact that you want to have in your community? Do you have any special requirements, any physical limitations, not standing too long, maybe not being able to like walk long distances? So we're talking about a door knocking or doing canvassing or the tabling and things like that. That might be something that may be a little bit too difficult for different people at different times. And then we also think about like ages and stages of life, right? Different things that people may, different limitations that people might have or would make them feel more comfortable. And then also thinking about the routine of it, right? How often would you like to get involved with us? Is it every weekend? Is it during certain times? Like we have GOTV for like the primaries, and then also for the primary for the general election. And so is that something that you know that every year you're going to get involved at that time? And again, well, how can you have fun, right? What does your family actually like to do? And then can you have like maybe even a little treat afterwards to be able to associate it with a positive thing that, oh, I'm going out into the community. And then afterwards, here's this thing that we're going for lunch or doing something that's nice together in accordance with that, that just gives a positive association altogether.
That's great. So really, from start to finish, all of these ways to engage. Yeah. How about others?
From my point of view, Marguerite covered it.
Yeah, she got it up.
I mean, it's literally nuts the bolts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing that I would ask volunteers is to have an open mind. A lot of people show up with certain stereotypes and preconceived notions, and it's my job to kind of push back against that. But it is helpful when people show up curious, when people are showing up to do not just what they think that they're going to do, but also something that maybe need. That would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Jessica and Karina, anything you want to add before we go to the next question?
With our volunteer program in Prospect Park, accessibility, we have so many programs that people can just walk in. We actually, you don't even necessarily have to pre-register. We try to make our program as accessible as possible. So we don't actually do much except for like on the ground in the beginning, here's the tools here, here's how to use them, here's how not to use them. And we typically, sometimes we'll catch the kids, but we rely on parents to do kind of some of the supervision, and we don't give kids things that they can use as swords.
Yeah. That is I think feel like that's like the number one tip. Once you work with kids long enough, what can be created into swords, be thrown long distances, all of the things. I love it. Yeah. And Karina, do you want to add anything else?
I honestly don't have any. It was a great summary.
Great. Well, good. Well, we'll start with you on this next question. And really, we're starting to come to the end of our time together. But I think this is such a critical question to end with, and for everybody to hear your thoughts. And how does organizing family volunteer opportunities really provide families with an opportunity to express community, social norms, political values, faith-based values? How do you really see this as the opportunity for families to kind of bring those things into what they're doing?
Yeah, so for meals, our whole team, like our whole core team that are putting on our programming, we are all volunteer based as well. And so I think families that are already interested and want to bring their whole family to go volunteer is already a massive step in that they really care, and that they want to take time out of their days to to go and spend time with a community that is also I think I would like to say like-minded. And so, for us, we only have volunteer days on Saturdays. So we are also extremely grateful for people to give us their Saturday mornings to us.
Yeah.
And, I think, and it's also helpful, I think, for younger kids to then see other kids there, and, and foster community, and maybe even, make lifelong connections. So, I think that where you already have found people that are a good person, to be honest.
Yeah.
And just showing up is already a massive step.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, do others want to add? Alexandra, I think you're off of mute. Do you have something you want to add?
I don't know. When I've been in this position for 5 years, Previously, I worked in hotels and then COVID and then, life, right? We've all been through that. And I am still amazed at the fact that people are choosing to show up. The fact that, like Karina just said, people care. And I love this job because I'm giving people the opportunity to put their hearts where it really is needed. So it's an easy job. It is an easy way to bring families in because you're not asking people to give of themselves. You're not asking people to give their time. You're not asking people to give anything. In fact, you're giving people the opportunity to do what they already want to do because everybody wants to do good. No matter what the media says, everybody wants to do good. So that's what we're doing. We're giving people the opportunity to make a difference. And why not?
Definitely. Absolutely. All right. Any final thoughts? We're coming up on our last couple minutes.
I'd like to give a plug for NYC Civic Corps that NYC Service runs. I think when we were really getting strategic about youth programming, there was a time where we would say yes to any group, and then thinking about the return on investment and what the organizations or the schools were going home with, it was like, this is a little lackluster. But to do the kind of strategic work, we needed extra help. And NYC Civic Corps provided that when we were looking at our youth program. We developed our junior volunteer corps with the leaf raking project. We also did develop a curriculum for first graders where there is, at least at that time, there was a specific emphasis on community. We weren't able to equitably offer that to first grade students throughout the city, so we wound up dropping it. But at least that was a useful. It was insightful for us. So that capacity building, it's a great resource.
Great. Well, yes, we're excited. We always like to highlight our Civic Corps program, and applications for host sites will, for next year's program, which will start next September. We just kicked off our membership, or our members this year, but host site applications actually will kick off early 2026. So if people are interested, nonprofits, city agencies who are on the call, we have 150 members to place. So thank you so much, Jessica, for plugging that. So we just have a quick minute, and I know, Sandra, did we have any burning questions from the chat that we could?
Yeah, so so we have a question from Claire. How do you plan intergenerational events where some participants may be more older or less mobile? How can you get older folks to be volunteering to the site and find opportunities for them to participate, thinking of outdoor stewardship events? And then we had a question from Bridget. How do you involve schools in volunteering?
Great, both great questions.
With your permission, I'll take the intergen question. Because right now, the slide that you're all looking at, if you see there's a group of people over here, and they're all intergen. This is the cohort that I ran this summer. And so what I do is for 6 weeks, I take the SYEP young adults, and they literally come and hang out with my older adults. And you can see just by the picture the various ages. If you take a look at the very little one in front, that happens to be my personal little one.
Oh.
So when I say it's intergenerational, it's really intergenerational.
Yeah.
And on one side, I have to first teach the teenagers how to behave. They're awkward. They don't know what the right thing is. Some of them have a lot of spice in them, right? I mean, they're teenagers.
I love that. They have spice. I'm going to start using that.
But on the other side, the older adults are also spicy.
They
don't know how to speak the current language. Some of them just have no social filter. They give 0 hoots, and they're proud of that. And, so there is a bit of a coaching moment there as well. Like say, hey, here are the standards that both groups are abiding by. And then we together figure out what the need is, and then we together go on forward to solve it. I mean, the truth is, I know what the need is and what the solution is, but, that's how it is, right?
Definitely.
And how do I bring them in? I have a community center, so at least for the older adults, for me, it's relatively easy. They come here themselves because it's a senior center. But for the teenagers, I do kind of source them from everywhere. As you can see by some of the photographs, it is a very diverse crowd. This may be a Jewish community center, but it's a Jewish community center in the Bronx, which means that it's a place for Jews and their allies. It's a place for anybody who wants to schlep all the way to Riverdale. So that's what it is. You just, again, give the opportunity to people. That's right. So for me.
Great. So that was wonderful. Do we have anybody who works with schools, just to touch on that really quickly before we end?
So we do work together with schools. I just want to say, if you're thinking about working together with them, typically we work together with colleges and up, but sometimes we work with a little bit of a younger group because of SYEP and DYCD.
Hello?
And so with the
Hey,
schools,
yeah, we're in a Zoom
um,
meeting. Hold on one second. Let me put this on
you
mute.
can go and find a community
One
liaison.
second. No, because we're in a, hold on a second, Jiggy.
If everybody
Hold on,
can
I
just
don't
put
want anybody to
themselves
hear our
on mute.
conversation. One moment.
Yeah.
Great.
So usually you can find a community liaison role that you can kind of inquire about, whether that's at open house days or other events. And once you make that link, then you can talk to them about your program and see what might be the areas of overlap. We have a relationship together with Hostos Community College. Again, like I said, SYUP and DYCD. And then we structure our interns and fellows program typically to run during the summer. Sometimes it's 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes it's longer, but really just having a sense of what your program has to offer, talking to that liaison, and then being able to kind of structure something that really works well for them. I think we really pride ourselves on having programming that the youth feel like, I am an organizer, that I did something of substance. We don't just have them like pushing pencils at things. They have their own professional goals. We are really sometimes their first professional experience. And so giving them those skills and that training and the structure, really having a supervisor who knows about that and is able to work with them towards, oh, I'm getting to this place, or this is how it's relevant to my major, I think really can make the difference.
Yeah.
That's great. And I just say, I know we've kept people a couple minutes. The other thing for K through 12, most public schools have a parent coordinator, or as you said, a community coordinator there. There's also Service in Schools, which really looks at community service and service learning across, pre-K through 12 in public schools as well. So amazing. And unfortunately, we have run out of time. And we just really want to say thank you so much for everybody for joining. We're hoping that this will be the first of many that NYC Service will offer. I also wonder if we should extend them to 45 minutes because I feel like I could talk for hours about all of this with all of you. But I just want to mention, we have support for your organization. So if you want to list volunteer opportunities with us, you can also join you can look at our events page on our website, but we also have our weekly newsletter that goes out to organizations as well that has a lot of information on no-cost trainings, grants, funding opportunities, things like these webinars. So that's the best way to kind of keep in touch with us. So we hope to see everybody again, on future webinars and other offerings. And just, want to say thank you so much to our panelists, Jessica, Karina, Alexandra, and Marguerite. This was just such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for all the work that you do to support New York City and just bringing in your expertise today. It was really, really wonderful to talk to all of you. So with that, thank you to everybody, and we will see everybody soon. All right, thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great